All right, Raindrop. So we are going to have our live YouTube show tonight. We have to get into Love and Marriage Huntsville, the TikTok of it all. Listen, the TikTok recaps of the latest episode of Love and Marriage Huntsville has me in stitches. I love it, love it, love it. Shout out to all the TikTok content creators who are talking about that scene that we're going to talk about tonight. Okay, so we got that. We're also going to talk about a lot of shot topics. So we don't do hot topics. We call them shot topics in the reality landscape. Okay, so catch us tonight on my YouTube channel. Okay.
Okay, hold on, because Carlos King may have just found himself on the other side of the reality TV chaos he helped create. For years, Carlos has been the man sitting behind the scenes, asking the questions, producing the reunions, shaping the conversations, and knowing exactly when to push a storyline until everybody in the room starts talking. But what happens when the person holding the microphone suddenly becomes the story? That is exactly why the latest Carlos King controversy has people paying attention. After another explosive season of Love and Marriage Huntsville, Carlos once again found himself front and center during the reunion, surrounded by cast members, unresolved accusations, broken friendships, relationship problems, and questions that had been building all season. The reunion aired in June 2026, with Carlos hosting the cast as they confronted some of the biggest issues of the season. But here is the twist. The real drama may not be what happened on the couch. It may be what viewers believe happened behind the scenes. Was Carlos simply doing his job, or did the man known for exposing everybody else suddenly expose more about himself than he intended? And why are fans questioning the relationships between producers, cast members, and the people who control the story? Because when the cameras are rolling, everybody has a version of the truth, and Carlos King knows better than almost anyone that the most dangerous version is the one nobody can stop talking about. To understand why this moment feels so different, you have to go back to the beginning of Carlos King's rise in reality television.
Listen, this show means a lot to Melissa in a very different way of what it means to Teresa. I think, to your point, listen, I think anybody who watches the show can see that Melissa wants to be the top dog, and she has trouble with Teresa constantly winning in the end. And this, I'm gonna tell you, it was the season where Danielle Staub, one of my favorites of all time.
Yes,
it was the season where Danielle Staub, unfortunately, Melissa, like, Teresa told me to pull the hair. What I saw was this excitement of Melissa getting the tea. Like, well, she did what? And I think in Melissa's mind, she was like, oh, baby, it's going down.
Carlos did not become one of the most recognizable names in Black unscripted television overnight. He built his reputation by understanding something that many producers never fully figured out. Reality television is not just about putting interesting people in a room. It is about relationships. It is about history. It is about secrets that refuse to stay buried. And most importantly, it is about finding the emotional pressure point that makes viewers say, wait a minute, what just happened? That approach helped Carlos become associated with major reality franchises and eventually establish his own production company, Kingdom Reign Entertainment. His career included work on popular reality programming, while Love and Marriage Huntsville became one of the shows most closely associated with his name. His company describes the Huntsville series as a breakout hit that debuted in 2019 and quickly became an important part of OWN's programming.
There's going to be people who's going to poke you to get a reaction out of you. They're going to make up lies. They're going to just say things to get people to join them in their hatred for you. And you just have to pray for them. And as you pray for them, pray for God to fulfill them with something that they're missing, because you have to be missing something. You have to have a hole in your heart to spend your time going against people who did nothing to you.
But Carlos did something else that changed his relationship with the audience. He stepped from behind the scenes and became part of the conversation. Through Reality with the King, Carlos began speaking directly to viewers about reality television, interviewing cast members, revisiting dramatic moments, and giving his own perspective on the shows he knew intimately. The podcast has continued releasing episodes in 2026, including discussions about Love and Marriage Huntsville and other OWN programs. And that changes everything, because when you are only the producer, viewers can argue about the show without necessarily arguing about you. But when you become the interviewer, commentator, reunion host, and public personality, your own decisions become part of the entertainment. Suddenly, every question can be analyzed, every pause can become a theory, every facial expression can become a TikTok clip. Every time you challenge a cast member, someone is going to ask why. And that is exactly where the Carlos King conversation becomes complicated. For years, viewers of Love and Marriage Huntsville have watched friendships fall apart, marriages struggle, accusations spread, families get caught in the middle, and business relationships become personal. Carlos has been there for many of those conversations. He has sat across from cast members when emotions were high. He has watched people defend themselves. He has watched others refuse to answer. And he has repeatedly pushed people toward uncomfortable subjects. That is part of what makes a reunion compelling. But it also creates a strange situation. The person asking everybody else to answer difficult questions eventually has to answer questions about the environment itself. And after the season 11 reunion, that tension became impossible for many viewers to ignore. The reunion brought the cast together in Los Angeles, with Carlos overseeing conversations about marriage, friendship, rumors, accusations, and unresolved conflicts. Kimmy and Maurice Scott addressed major questions surrounding their marriage. Destiny and Tisha Scott confronted the breakdown of their friendship. Ken and Trisha discussed relationship rumors, and other cast members faced questions surrounding allegations that had followed them throughout the season. Then came the second part. Maurice and Marsal confronted Martel over cheating allegations. Maurice addressed DUI rumors, and Lance and Destiny discussed their relationship. Now, none of those things automatically make Carlos the villain. That distinction matters. There is no verified evidence that Carlos was fired, secretly removed, or publicly dethroned in some dramatic network conspiracy. There is also no reliable evidence establishing the wild behind-the-scenes claims that sometimes circulate online. But that does not mean there is no controversy. The controversy is about perception, and perception can be incredibly powerful in reality television. Viewers have started asking whether producers are simply documenting conflict, or whether the structure of reality television naturally encourages people to keep old wounds open, because unresolved drama keeps audiences watching. That question is not unique to Carlos, but because Carlos is so publicly associated with the franchise, his name naturally gets pulled into the debate. And here is where things become especially interesting. Carlos is not simply a producer who disappears after the episode ends. He talks about the drama publicly. He hosts a podcast. He interviews reality stars. He breaks down storylines. He gives opinions. He sometimes revisits moments that viewers already thought were finished. That means the conversation does not end when the television episode ends. It continues online. And when the conversation continues, people start connecting dots. One person says Carlos was too hard on a cast member. Another says he was simply asking the questions viewers wanted answered. Someone else believes a cast member received favorable treatment. Another viewer argues that the cast member simply handled the reunion better. And suddenly, what began as a television reunion becomes a debate about trust. Who controls the narrative? Who gets believed? Who gets protected? Who gets questioned? And who gets left looking like the villain? That is the real scandal surrounding Carlos right now. Not a confirmed secret firing, not some imaginary corporate coup, but the growing argument over who actually controls the story. Because reality television creates a strange illusion. We watch people argue and assume we understand the entire situation, but we only see what makes it to the screen. There are hours of conversations that never become episodes. There are interviews that never air. There are decisions made in editing rooms that viewers never see. And there are conversations between cast members and production that may never become public. That does not mean those unseen moments contain some shocking secret. It simply means viewers will always wonder. And when a show has been on television for years, those questions become bigger. Love and Marriage Huntsville has now reached its 11th season, and the latest season ended with a 2-part reunion in June 2026. The show has also been renewed for another season, meaning the story is far from finished. So why does Carlos appear to be taking so much heat? Because the longer a reality show survives, the harder it becomes to separate the cast from the machine around them. Think about it. At the beginning, viewers fall in love with personalities. Then they learn the family histories. Then they learn the friendships. Then they learn the marriages. Then they learn the betrayals. And eventually, they start learning the production personalities too. Carlos becomes part of the mythology. He is no longer just the person producing the show. He becomes one of the people viewers associate with why the show feels the way it does. And that is both a blessing and a curse. When the show succeeds, the producer gets praise. When the show becomes addictive, people call the producer brilliant. But when viewers become frustrated with the storylines, the same producer can become the target. That is the uncomfortable position Carlos occupies right now. And then there is the question of betrayal. That word gets thrown around constantly in reality television. But what does betrayal actually mean here? Does betrayal mean a cast member feels abandoned by a friend? Does it mean somebody believes production did not protect them? Does it mean a relationship collapsed because too much was said on camera? Or does it mean viewers feel betrayed because they believe the show they loved is no longer giving them the same emotional experience? Those are completely different things, yet online they can all become one giant conversation. Take the friendships. Destiny and Tisha's fractured relationship became one of the major stories surrounding the latest season and reunion. The two were expected to confront their issues publicly, and the reunion made that tension part of the central storyline.
For viewers, that can feel heartbreaking, because friendship drama hits differently from ordinary arguments. When two strangers fight, you watch. When two people who once trusted each other fall apart, you remember the history. You remember the laughs. You remember the moments when they defended one another. And then you watch them sit across from each other, unable to agree on what happened. That is the emotional engine behind reality television. But it is also where viewers become uncomfortable, because at some point you have to ask whether watching someone's pain is entertainment or exploitation. Carlos has built a career around asking people to tell their truth, but truth can be messy, and sometimes there is no clean ending. Sometimes both people believe they are right. Sometimes an accusation changes a relationship permanently. Sometimes an apology arrives too late. And sometimes the cameras leave before the real healing even begins. That is why the reunion can feel so intense. Everybody arrives carrying months of emotion. The audience already has its favorite. Social media has already picked sides. And Carlos is sitting in the middle trying to get answers. But there is another layer. Carlos himself has become a public figure with a separate audience. His podcast has given him a platform where he can discuss reality television outside the normal boundaries of the show. In 2026, his episodes have included conversations about cheating, relationship drama, reunions, and other reality TV storylines. So now, viewers can hear Carlos's perspective after watching the show, and that creates a fascinating contradiction. The producer becomes the commentator becomes part of the entertainment, and the entertainment becomes a conversation about the producer. That cycle can keep going forever. But here is where the secret betrayal theory becomes especially dangerous. There are always going to be claims online that somebody secretly betrayed somebody else. There are always going to be rumors about producers favoring cast members. There are always going to be anonymous comments claiming somebody knows what really happened behind closed doors.
The problem is that not every claim is evidence. And this is where we have to separate what is confirmed from what is simply being discussed online. There is no verified evidence that Carlos secretly engineered some massive conspiracy against the cast. There is no verified evidence that he was secretly fired because of the reunion. There is no confirmed public announcement saying OWN removed him from the franchise. In fact, the latest reunion itself lists Carlos as the person leading the cast through those explosive conversations, and Carlos remains associated with the franchise's production. So if somebody tells you Carlos was suddenly kicked out of the network, be careful. That is not what the available evidence shows. But that does not make the story boring. Actually, it makes it more interesting, because the real question becomes, why does the audience believe it could happen? Why have viewers become so suspicious of the people behind reality television? Why do so many fans assume that every dramatic moment has another story hiding underneath it? And maybe the answer is simple, because reality television has trained us to look behind the curtain. We know there are producers. We know there are editors. We know hours of footage become one episode. We know people can tell different versions of the same story. And Carlos himself has made a career out of going behind that curtain. So when viewers turn that same curiosity toward him, they are simply using the rules of the world he helped create. That is the irony. Carlos taught audiences to ask questions. Now, audiences are asking questions about Carlos. And that may be the biggest twist of all. There's also something deeply human underneath the controversy. Imagine building a career around controlling stories and then realizing that the public can create a story about you that you cannot control. You can explain yourself, you can speak publicly, you can give interviews, you can go on your podcast, but once thousands of viewers decide they have a theory, the theory has a life of its own. That can be exhausting because suddenly silence looks suspicious. Talking looks defensive. Explaining yourself becomes damage control. Ignoring the rumors becomes proof. There is no winning, and reality stars know that feeling better than anybody. They live inside that cycle every season. Perhaps that is why Carlos's situation feels so fascinating. He is now experiencing a version of the same machine he has helped operate. He is not necessarily being destroyed by it, but he is being watched by it. Every move is being interpreted. Every conversation can become content. Every disagreement can become a headline. And every reunion can create another wave of speculation. That is the emotional cost of becoming part of the story. For the cast, the cost can be even higher. These are not fictional characters. These are marriages. These are children. These are friendships. These are businesses. These are families. When an accusation is made on television, the episode eventually ends, but the people involved still have to answer relatives. They still have to go online. They still have to face people in their communities. And sometimes they have to look at someone they once loved and realize that millions of people now know about a private conflict.
That is why betrayal on reality television can feel so permanent. There is no true rewind button. Once the footage exists, it can be replayed forever. Once a clip goes viral, context becomes optional. Once a fan chooses a side, changing their mind can feel like admitting defeat. And Carlos sits at the center of that complicated world. He understands the value of emotional television. He understands that viewers want answers, but he also knows that every answer can create another question. And that is exactly what happened after this reunion. Instead of everybody walking away satisfied, viewers walked away with more things to debate. What really happened between certain cast members? Who was telling the truth? Who left something out? Was the reunion fair? Did everybody get the same opportunity to speak? And perhaps the biggest question, can Carlos remain the person asking the questions without becoming the person viewers question the most?
That is the real story, not some unverified fantasy about a secret firing, not an invented scandal, not a made-up network conspiracy. The real story is the collision between a producer's power and an audience that has become more skeptical than ever. And that collision can be explosive because fans are no longer satisfied with simply watching. They investigate, they compare interviews, they replay scenes, they read social media posts, they listen to podcasts, they look for contradictions, they ask what happened before the cameras started rolling. And Carlos has essentially built part of his public identity around doing the same thing. He analyzes other people's stories. Now, people are analyzing his. That is why the phrase live TV scandal sounds so dramatic, because the most important part may not have happened during one single explosive moment. It is happening in the conversation afterward. The reunion gave viewers the footage. Social media gave them the theories. Carlos's public platform gave them another perspective. And now, everyone is trying to decide what the truth actually looks like. But there is one thing we should remember. Reality television is designed to make us feel something: anger, shock, sadness, suspicion, curiosity, even betrayal. That does not mean every emotion proves that something dishonest happened behind the scenes. Sometimes a dramatic television moment is exactly that, a dramatic television moment. And sometimes the truth is much less sensational than the internet wants it to be. Carlos King is still producing and discussing reality television. His own podcast continues to cover the same kind of relationship drama and behind-the-scenes conversations that made him famous in the first place. So perhaps the biggest lesson from this controversy is not that Carlos has fallen, it is that the audience has changed. Viewers want transparency, they want context, they want to know what is real, and they increasingly want the people behind the camera to be accountable for the stories they help put on screen. That's not necessarily an attack on Carlos. It's simply what happens when your name becomes part of the brand. The more power you have, the more people examine how you use it. The more successful you become, the more people question your decisions. And the more you ask other people to reveal their secrets, the more people will eventually ask you to reveal yours. So now the question is no longer just what happened at the reunion.